Welcome to Tailoring Talk. I'm Roberto Revilla, bespoke tailor, owner of Roberto Revilla London Suit Shirt and Shoemakers. I weave superpowers into every stitch. Join us as we meet self-starters and creators, diving into their journeys and uncovering valuable lessons to help you be the best you can be. Hit that subscribe button, leave a rating, and let's tailor greatness together. From foster kid to CEO, today's guest's journey inspires. She founded Nodora.org, an online software platform equipping businesses with essential tools for marketing, customer relationships, and seamless lead management. In this episode, we're going to discover the keys to entrepreneurial success through automation and more. Tailoring Talkers, please welcome Natalie to the show. Natalie Guzman, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really, really good. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to skip back and forth a little bit because I think it's important for context for listeners to kind of know where you came from. Now, first of all, you're calling in from the Sunshine State, place that I have visited a lot. Absolutely love my time out there. My first exposure to it was Ybor City in Tampa. So yeah, that was an eye-opener. It was in one of those Coyote Ugly kind of bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm only like 30 minutes from there. So,
Okay.
I absolutely love Florida. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun times. And the Disney stuff, of course. You started out as a VA. Well, obviously didn't necessarily start as a VA, but you were a VA once upon a time, right?
Mhm. Yeah, that's how my whole entrepreneur journey started. I was a virtual assistant and I had so many clients asking me to do marketing and websites and automations. And I found I was really good with softwares and systems and creating standard operating procedures that it kind of developed all those things I was really good at, developed into Nodora. So now we have Nodora, which is software, virtual assistants, education, and so much more, and networking as well. It's an amazing group.
Yeah, because there are so many apps, tools, AI stuff. I mean, I've been trying to delve into all of this, but in between the podcast, trying to run my day job and everything else, it's like I almost need, I don't know, something to kind of help me sort through all of that sort of stuff. Nodora looks like an amazing platform, but where did that all start? You'd have had the experience from your VA role of kind of seeing all of the different hats that entrepreneurs, people you were working for and supporting, would have to wear. Then you're obviously, as you just mentioned, very, very good with automation software, all of that kind of stuff. Probably jumped straight onto AI as soon as it started to become a kind of more mainstream sort of thing. How did you begin to kind of pull all of this together?
Yeah, so it kind of started naturally. So actually, in between the virtual assistant and Nodora, I dabbled in a marketing agency. So we had NG Marketing Group for a little bit. But the reason why we kind of went to all these different categories, it was because entrepreneurs had a need. They had a problem and it was my job to solve it. And that kind of stemmed from the whole virtual assistant roots. And so I had so many entrepreneurs saying, "Hey, I don't have time to learn this software system," or "Hey, Zapier's not connecting with my current CRM system. My CRM system's not communicating with my email marketing system, and nothing is working together." And they're so frustrated, they can't figure it out. Zapier would give everyone migraines. And it was just like they just wanted a simple tool that they could do everything in one place so they don't have to learn hundreds of different software, and they end up paying like thousands of dollars a month. So we built Nodora. And Nodora is absolutely amazing. You create your landing pages, your courses, your funnels, your email campaigns, text campaigns, your automations, social media scheduling, literally everything, in unlimited calendars, and everything's unlimited. There's not like a ton of upcharges or anything, because that's what I saw in software. Like, it made entrepreneurs so frustrated and so confused, and they never knew what they were paying for. So we really want to make it as simple as possible. And also, a lot of times they would get Nodora and then there would be like, "Well, I don't want to do the work myself. Can you guys do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, we still have our VA agency." So we took my VA agency was NG Virtual Assistant. We merged it with Nodora. So now they're the Nodora Marketing Mavens, which is super cool. And then entrepreneurs were like, we want to communicate with more people. We want to network. So we created a networking portion in our free Facebook group, Nodora Connect. And then from there, now people are asking for education. They want to learn from more people. They love I have a podcast called Virtual Antics, and they absolutely love it. But they're like, I need more. Like, I want like courses. And so now we're developing Nodora U, which is super exciting.
Yeah. Your podcast is called
Virtual Antics.
Antics. Oh, cool.
Mhm.
I'm going to look
Thank
that
you.
up. Right.
Yeah.
Everybody listening, go into your podcast app. Oh, there you are. Awesome. Right. There we go. Follow. Right. Because I'm really fascinated by all of that. You lot do the same as well. Make sure you find virtual antics and you'll see Natalie looking amazing as ever there.
Thank
Hit the
you.
subscribe button. Once you've listened to a few episodes, if you like what you listen to, give her a review as well. Very, very important for us podcasters because otherwise we don't get served to other people. I recently lost my VA, um, and I think it was a long time coming, and I take full responsibility because I probably should have dealt with things a bit sooner. But I've been drowning for a while, even with her support. And, my wife who works with me, she'd been saying every time my VA turned in her timesheets, she's like, I sit next to you and I see you drowning. And I don't think she's doing as many hours as. And then I was looking at what she was actually doing. And I was thinking to myself, this is all just copy and paste stuff. Like there's nothing being added to it. So
Yeah.
therefore, isn't this stuff something that I could be getting some kind of AI tool to do something, some sort of tool to kind of automate those sorts of things? Obviously, there are things in my business where I don't know if I can automate them or not. But when you're working one on one with people, or when your team are working one on one with people, how do you take a frustrated, stressed, tired entrepreneur that feels like they're kind of like an octopus most of the time, sort of sit down with them, just get them to kind of stop, breathe, and think for a second and start working out, okay, look, we're, looking at everything that you're doing. You don't actually need to be doing all of this stuff. How do you start to kind of break that down and then work all of that stuff out?
Yeah, so that's what makes us actually really unique. So instead of just handing you off to a virtual assistant like most agencies do, we assign you a project manager. So the project manager is what I like to call your business bestie. And so they will strategize with you, they'll create plans, they'll recommend tools, softwares, automations, AI. We do use those in our work. We don't feel like it takes away from our value. And especially because with AI and automations, you need someone to run it. So what we do is we give you that project manager and then they assign the to-dos out to the VA team. So you could have hundreds and hundreds of VAs and only one project manager, and you're not feeling overwhelmed and you don't feel like you're trying to keep track of all these people. We have a in-depth time tracking system that takes screenshots every couple minutes. So we can actually see, just like you probably did, is we can see if they're actually recording the right amount of hours. It also records live, so they're not manually entering any type of hours. And then if they do have to manually, because they forgot to hit their timer, they have to talk to a manager. So we have systems and processes in place to solve all those problems because I've been doing this since 2015. So I feel like there's very little problems in the VA world that we haven't solved with our systems and processes. And that's why we have the project manager, because a lot of entrepreneurs, they're like, oh, I need a VA because I, need all this work done and they'll probably help me, grow my business and do this and do that. A lot of them aren't trained in business and they don't understand, customer journeys and ROI and all that fun stuff and all the different tools and systems and practices that are out there. And they don't know strategy. And so a lot of times instead of getting like a business coach, they go straight for a VA. So we kind of created the project manager to kind of be like a coach, someone that you can really brainstorm with and work one-on-one to make sure your business is successful. Because if your business is successful, mine's going to be successful because you're going to keep hiring us. So
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't actually do any kind of screen recording or, any of that kind of stuff. I basically was kind of like hands off and
we get
trusting
the work.
because, me happy go
Yeah.
lucky, that's the way I go through the world. And then look where it got me. But yeah, I mean, the process we used is we basically just listed out every single task in the business and then
Yeah.
was like, is this something that I still need to keep doing? Is it something that could be automated through software or whatever? Is it something that somebody else could do?
Yeah.
Which is, it probably kind of sounds quite familiar as the way that most people will start to kind of work out whether they needed the extra support or not.
And I think it's also like automation. So a lot of people always said, do I keep this? Do I give it away to a VA or do I automate it? And now I also say, do you use AI too? And then just have the VA manage the AI software. So that's kind of a new thing that we're seeing as well, which is really interesting.
Yeah. Because I guess AI, depending on, but what does that mean? Does that mean like I had Jonathan Green on here a few weeks ago, who's like Mr. GPT
He's been on my
prompt.
podcast as well.
Oh,
He's
you know
amazing.
him? Oh my God,
Yeah.
yeah. So he, he kind of was great in he wasn't kind of great. He was great at really kind of getting our heads around. I had a lot of good feedback from audience members as well. Um, that paradigm shift in how you prompt and so on. But it's still like, but that's not automation per se, because I still need to kind of prompt that thing in the right way to get it to do stuff. Like how do I create a droid for all intents and purposes that I
Yeah.
can shift stuff over to? Like how does it
Yeah.
work? It seems like black magic.
Yeah, so a lot of people, when you say AI, they naturally think of ChatGPT. There's hundreds and thousands of software out there. If you have a specific problem, so instead of looking for like podcast editing, right? This was one how I got into AI too. So I video editing software and then write AI in a Google search, and it's gonna pull up these amazing tools. I used one called Capwing. It was taking my editor is about 3 hours to edit my episode. And now we're down to like less than an hour using Capwing. It automatically transcribes all the words and it'll automatically take out words like or like my stutters or things like that. It'll clip that. And
Yeah.
then deleting the dead space is super easy. So it's literally only a couple clicks of a button. My whole podcast is pretty much edited. It can create social media clips. So it creates our reels and everything. But using softwares like that, it really just makes our time just like so much shorter on completing a task, which is amazing, which allows us to do more things.
Yeah.
So that's why I love AI tools like that. There's even ones where you can put your YouTube link in. If you have like I have my podcast is also on YouTube. I'll put that in and it'll bring out a blog, like a whole blog post based on what I spoke about. And then that helps me with SEO. So there's using it in that way. I do use ChatGPT, but I use it more for like email marketing or landing page copy, or maybe even like brainstorming, creating lists. But I use it a lot less than I use these other softwares and tools. And even Nodora has a really cool AI software built in that will create your newsletters, your newsletter copy, your social media copy. It is really cool, really easy to use. It actually kind of gives you prompts, whereas ChatGPT, you have to create the prompts. So that's what's a little bit different about our AI tool as well.
Yeah. I think Jonathan, I don't nothing seems to phase that guy, but I was telling him about, the fights and the arguments that I have with Chat GPT. So when you look at my chat logs, it is literally like, no, I didn't ask you to do that. I need you to do it like this. And it's like, no, you're still not getting it. Like, go back to that bit and then blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you know, someone in 200 years is going to find all of this stuff and is going to be like, this guy was absolutely insane.
I was
Um,
literally yelling at it because I was trying to create a logo. I was testing to see if we could create logos using AI. And I was like, I want that color to be blue. And I gave like the hex code and it gives me red. And I was like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, exactly. Or you'll tell it like it'll generate an image and you're like, that is amazing. Can you just make sure you spell that word correctly? And then
Yeah.
it regenerates and it regenerates the entire image. And you're like, no, give me that image back. The image was perfect. Just change the damn text.
Yeah.
But it will never get back to that. And I'm sure if Jonathan was here, he would jump in with an explanation like Neil
Yeah,
deGrasse
probably.
Tyson, right? Like, well, actually, the reason why GPT will not. Anyway, so no, that's cool. And do you notice how I kind of teed you up to bring Nodora straight back in there? Awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so but you know, this as a platform, and you're right, because you talked earlier about the fact that entrepreneurs, again, like we have so many subscriptions because you're trying to prop as a business owner, you're trying to solve problem after problem after problem, whether it's problems for your own customers or whether it's just problems in the business or problems in life in general, because don't forget it spills over. And there's a lot of stuff in our personal lives that fall by the wayside as well. Like as I sit here, I'm just looking over at my fridge. It's a beautiful American style fridge freezer. It's like my pride and joy, but it's empty. So you know, we've got all of that to deal with as well. And so then what happens is you're like, someone recommends a tool to you. So you're like, oh, that sounds really good. And you try it out and you subscribe to it, and it's like 10, $15 a month. And then you've got another problem. So someone says you should do that. Okay, so you use that, and before you know it, you're subscribed to about 100 different things. You're
Mhm.
spending all this money. You're actually still not achieving anything at all.
Yeah.
So before you know it, you're subscribed to all these apps, you're paying all this money out, and actually your life is not changing really that much at all, apart from you're now having fights with more, you know, AI kind of things than usual. So like Nodora sounds like a dream come true to people, you know, like me. I'm sure I know some of my listeners are listening to this and they are nodding their heads frankly, like, give me the link. Nodora.org, people. This is very, very exciting.
Yeah, it's a really cool program. And what I think is another thing is like most of us, we have all these softwares, right? Do you know every single feature in the softwares you're using? A lot of times you'll have a problem and you go buy another software, but the software you already own can already do it. And you just don't know it. And so that's the kind of cool thing about Nodora is like we have office hours every week. We have trainings that can show you if you're like trying to make a freebie or a baby offer or a high ticket offer, we'll show you all the steps on how to do it in Nodora, which is really cool. We do workshops every month. So to give you the education, and there's always replays. So if you're not able to do the live, there's always a replay link. But we give you that education so you can just really understand and know the software in kind of an organic way. When we put it into a Facebook group, it's a lot different than clicking it on a page in a on a website, right? I probably own like 7 different courses that I never look at, but I do look at a lot of Facebook groups because I'm just naturally on Facebook a lot. And so by kind of hosting it there, but also hosting on our website, just kind of gives that natural flow for our users to kind of learn in a very casual and flow
Yeah.
way.
And you're proof of all of this efficiency creation, because you have a family, you've got all of those additional things. You have kids, right?
Yeah, I got a 6 and a 7
Oh my
year
God.
old. Keep me
For a
busy.
microsecond, I thought you were going to say you have 6 kids. I was like, oh my God. Okay.
Oh, no.
She really.
Oh yeah, no, no, no. I was smart. I had a boy and a girl, and I was like, I'm not gonna, try fate. So
We should have just left it as 6, because it'd be like, okay, yeah, oh my God, like she really is living, breathing proof of what she does. Um, so
I will say that I do. So I have a 6 and 7 year old, 12 months apart. I have a husband in law enforcement. So he is very busy job, not
yeah,
home a lot. I have a stepfather with Alzheimer's. So I have a lot on my plate. I have this massive business and a ton of staff. And so, yeah, managing it all, the way I do it is with automation and is with using Nodora and, communicating with my team and creating those SOPs, standard operating procedures. If you don't have anything in your business that says exactly how you do something, that could be the biggest reason why you're struggling in your
yeah. I mean,
business.
that was one thing that we did the last 2 years while we were with this VA, as we started to write all of our SOPs just in case it all went wrong, so that then, you know, at least we've got the Bible, the manual there, and then it's a lot
Yeah.
easier second time around to kind of pass things to somebody else. Um, I love
Yeah.
the community aspect of what you're building with this platform as well, and how you're responding to what your users want and what they're asking for. But I'm guessing you can't give everybody everything that they want. So how do you kind of work
Mhm.
out, when you look at your user base and community, kind of what are, you know, kind of right tools, etc., or, you know, okay, right, this person's asking for this, this
Mhm.
group of people are asking for that. How do you kind of work through all of that stuff?
Oh, that's crazy. Never been asked that, and I do have a plan for that. So that was a good question. So I never want anything to stop with me. Even in my discovery calls, I always tell them if I'm not the right fit with you, I'm here to strategize to help you. I'll even like create like a marketing plan or whatnot with you. But if I'm not the right fit, feel free to take that plan, go to someone else, and I have 5 recommendations for you. But this is the person that I think is the best fit for you. So it never stops with me. I do use sometimes I'll have affiliate links, sometimes I don't. Usually in the discovery calls, it's not like I'm not getting paid to refer them to
Mm,
someone else. But those connections, it just makes it stronger with the company I'm referring them to, but also with them as well. They remember, hey, she was so nice. She gave me this amazing recommendation because she knew it wasn't going to be a fit. And a lot of times they'll refer people that they think would be a fit. Also, we have a lot of toolkits. So like I have a podcasting toolkit, I have a course toolkit, I have all these things that like I don't sell equipment, right? So I'll have lists of equipment that I do recommend though, and that they can go and check out. So anything that I don't really offer, but kind of goes into building a back end of a business, or even marketing and leads and all that stuff. I always have either a referral, a toolkit, or I will teach about it in one of my
yeah.
workshops.
Now you've got so much, I bet, going on up here, right? Rattling
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Um, and then some of that stuff that becomes reality, those ideas that you have for improving things or new services or add-ons for Nodora and so on. You've got to obviously keep people informed about all of that stuff, which brings me on to
Yeah.
newsletters because
Mhm.
there are a couple ways to for people to build what effectively are a marketing list, right? Either
Mhm.
they just go out and they start adding people and without asking them and let them unsubscribe. I know it varies law to law, state to state, country to country. The other way that you do it is you encourage people to sign up, which we know is the harder one of the two. um how
Mhm.
does your platform help with that sort of stuff? Because mailing lists, newsletter lists are very, very important, particularly for SMEs.
So a lot of times what we do is actually if they have a social media content plan, we base it around a lot of that because you put so much thought into your social media plan or even if you have a goal list as well. We have a lot of clients that have goal lists. And so we'll look at those 2 plans and then create a plan for the email marketing. Other times it's as simple as a weekly meeting, with our clients to trying to figure out what they want to talk about. But one thing that we always swear by is give value. So for every 4 emails you send, those should all be giving tips, maybe a podcast episode you've done recently that could help them. Just basically something that gives them value. And then you can sell on the 5th email. And so by doing that, it makes them feel like they're actually getting something by opening your emails. So if that paid offer isn't for them, they're not necessarily going to be turned off by your emails and they're not going to unsubscribe. They'll keep reading until they get the offer that works for them. So that's I think the biggest thing that I've seen is like a lot of people aren't really giving value. And we even try to do it in our paid offer emails sometimes. We'll have a tip and then we're like, hey, if you really enjoyed this tip, you just want more, we have this course or we have this information. And so that's kind of how we surround we format our
Yeah.
newsletters.
So now I want to kind of jump back in time a little bit because you're extremely switched on, super smart. You've built this amazingly successful business. Yeah, but first 3 months to 6 figures, absolutely incredible.
As NG virtual
Yeah, yeah.
assistant, yeah.
And testament to your hard work, determination, the goals that you set for yourself, and so on. I'm guessing there's a story in there somewhere from when you were younger as a foster kid. Take me back there, if you will, because
Mhm.
to explain, because again, listeners will probably realize Natalie and I, we've never met before. This is the first conversation that we're having, hopefully becoming friends over the course of it. So the reason why I have so much of this stubbornness, determination, and drive is I sometimes think that I was probably adopted because I'm so different to my mum and dad. But anyway, and they used to make that stupid joke as well. But there was a lot of abuse that went on. And so I was very, very detached from my parents. And so my entire childhood, was quite lonely, and I had this burning determination to just get out of there. When people say, "Oh my God, wow, you're amazing," and all these other adjectives they use to describe what I do and what I achieve, but I don't necessarily share with them exactly where it's come from. But I know that that's
Yeah.
part of it, and I'm guessing that there's something in there as to why you are the way that you are today.
Oh, 100%. So, like at the core of my business, I love helping people, right? Well, that stems from me being a foster kid because if I could be useful, I could stay at that house longer, right? And so my story is really weird and not like usual foster kids. So I went into the system at I think 13 years old, and I actually grew up when I was younger, I was the poor kid, right? The one that lived in the projects, got picked on a lot. And then my mom got married and I became the rich girl. It was a very weird time for me to go from the poor girl to the very rich girl, like living in the projects to living in a three-story house in a
Yeah,
colonial style. It was beautiful. And it was just that was a very weird time. And then when I was 12, my mom and stepfather divorced and it broke my mother. Um, and so my mom one day told me I was going to the fair, and she dropped me off at a foster care. We went to an empty parking lot, and I went with a caseworker to my new foster home. Had no idea I was going there. I had a suitcase packed and everything apparently, and I had no idea. And she just kind of disappeared for couple years. And so I learned really quickly how to adapt, how to be useful, how to be helpful. I was always a quiet kid with a book. I think it was just I went in a survival mode. And so survival mode was I realized, if I could help, I had a foster mom that raised German Shepherds. So if I could help her with these German Shepherds, I'd be useful, I'd be kept around longer, and it would be a safe home. And it worked really well for me. I was actually ended up with that last foster mom for a very long time till I became emancipated and got my own apartment and was able to live on my own, which I was so thankful for. But yeah, so that kind of is that resilience and like that like fight or flight mode is kind of what built my business. Like my business has had, times where I had to pay out of my own pocket for things, or like we lost a lot of money when we had the marketing agency. We went from retainers to one-time projects, and it killed my business. And so I've learned so much, and I've learned a lot. But I'm always able to bounce back and grow and kind of like keep scaling up, right? You only go up from here, I always say. So yeah, and a lot of that has to do with the whole foster care. Now just to wrap it up, my mom and stepfather are back
oh, that's
together now.
awesome.
So, yeah, and I have a relationship with my mom. She, parents are humans too, and so that was just a case of her being human, and dealing with a lot. So, and her childhood issues and things like that. So I'm very, very happy that everything ended up coming together and that, yeah, they're happy and doing well.
Yeah,
So.
awesome. What does the future of Nodora and the agency look like now? Because you're starting to bring in some new features to the platform,
Mhm.
which is I guess you could call it community building, but you've had users who've been asking for, wanting to kind of do things like networking, courses, getting more resource, educating themselves, and so on. And those are things that are coming to Nodora soon. And that's part of Nodora U, because I was actually on the platform. I don't think the Nodora U thing had come up at that stage, because you and I originally were meant to record a couple months back. But then I saw it. Then I
Happens.
saw it pop up like when I checked a couple days ago as I was prepping for you, and I was like, "Oh my God, what is this?"
Yeah, I'm so excited about it. It's going to be so cool. And the best part about it is that it's not just going to be the Nodora team that's teaching. It's going to be, the best of the best. As a podcast host, like as you know, we interview a lot of amazing people and some really smart people, and that are, like Mr. Green over there, the Chat GPT, like they are all very good at what they do. And so um we are bringing them into Nodora so that they can kind of grow their community as well, and they can teach our members how to, do what they do best. So it's going to be really cool. I'm hoping for a lot of collaborations and networking and just, entrepreneurship is one of the loneliest jobs
Yeah.
in the world, especially if you have a digital business. And so that's what we're trying to heal with Nodora, is just to really give you, that community that we're all
Yeah.
seeking.
That's awesome. And I wanted, because some people might be listening or might have been half listening, slat wrist, and kind of wondering exactly what Nodora is all about. But base level is, the free version of Nodora, which is called Nodora Connect, seems to be kind of giving people a sort of step inside the Nodora kind of service and community, so they can kind of have a feel around, get access to the Facebook community, maybe kind of just dabble in some things and sort of try some things out. Then you have the Nodora 360, which basically gives you everything that the base level gets. But then that's where all of the, I presume, the kind of calendar integration, the kind of CRM stuff, the
Yeah.
automations, help with social media stuff, and so on starts to come in.
Yes, that's a whole soft.
Okay, and then Nodora U will then kind of build on that with the kind of education library, live events,
Yeah.
all the kind of
Mhm.
resource type stuff, and so on.
Exactly. And then we have our marketing mavens, and Nodora Marketing Mavens is the virtual assistant
Yeah,
team.
awesome. Is that US focused, or can you guys help anyone anywhere in the world?
Anyone, anywhere. We have clients all over the world, which is really cool. And then our team is a mix of US based and overseas. So we have all of our project managers are usually US based. And then the VAs are a mix of US and overseas, just depending on, who it is we hired, because there's amazing people all over
Yeah,
the world.
absolutely. As
Yeah.
someone who has a fair bit of experience of remote working from home, and so on, would you dress in a slightly different way for work at home to how you normally would?
Not really. I probably have like that casual preppy. I'm wearing an army shirt right now, which I usually don't wear. But I have like a very casual preppy style to me, and it actually kind of works well for meetings. But really on meetings, when I'm meeting with entrepreneurs, especially in our discovery calls or sales calls, I don't want to dress super professional. I want to meet them on their level. And a lot of times they're running around. I had one guy who was jogging while having a discovery call with me yesterday, which is so cool. But he was in
Yeah,
gym
yeah,
clothes, right? So if I was in like a suit, I feel like he he might feel like it was out of
yeah,
his realm, but I want to meet them on their level, and we're supposed to be your business bestie. So I try to dress pretty casual. We do have like one polo shirt that has like our Nodora logo on it. I'll sometimes bring out like for events and things like that. But otherwise I just try to meet people on their level. So I just dress pretty
yeah,
casual. So
exactly. I mean, I'd be quite worried if you jumped on a call with me and, you were completely bloused and suited up.
yeah.
So yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. It's about kind of just working out your audience and sort of, dressing like you said. You kind of get you're right, because you're someone who's going to be helping that person,
Yeah.
effectively rolling up your sleeves and getting into the trenches with them.
Yeah, exactly. And and I feel like part of having that casual style is really important because I'm human to them. I'm not like a company, I'm not an organization, we're humans. And even my team, we don't all have the same shirts or anything like that. And I think that kind of helps us because it kind of gives us our own
Yeah,
personalities, and so people can relate to us. It's hard for us because we need to relate with people over a computer screen. So, the more that we can, show our personalities and how we dress and how we have our hair, I think is better. We have some that in the past I've had like, dyed hair, like the purple or the pink, and they got with a coach that had like funky colors in their hair and they bonded it. And that was part of their bonding process. And I thought that was so cool. And I was like, so that's why I've never been a company to be like, this is what you got to wear and this is how you got to look like. Because there's something so special about your unique personality with how
yeah.
you look.
Natalie, thank you so much for your time today, for just sharing some of that wisdom and telling us so much about your wonderful platform. If people want to go check it out, what do they need to do now?
Yeah, go straight to Nodora.org. You can claim your 2-week free trial so you can test it out, make an opinion of it yourself. Also, go to Nodora Connect, the Facebook group, and we do the workshops. We have networking meetings, all that's free. So you can join and say hi to us there as well.
Awesome. And I'll make sure that I have the link in the show notes for everybody. Natalie, have you had fun today?
Oh my gosh, I had a blast.
Me too. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for joining Natalie and I. Follow us on Instagram at Tailoring Talk Podcast for latest episode updates, highlights, and news. The podcast is also on YouTube now at Roberto Revilla London. You can email me as usual at tailoringtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Please hit subscribe, give me a rating and a review, and click the share button in your player to send this episode to someone you know who needs to hear what Natalie shared with us. Please make sure that you check out the Virtual Antics podcast that Natalie hosts. To support the show, hit the support the show link in the show notes. Have a great week. Be good to each other, and I'll catch you on the next one.